Hello, I'm Diane Richard and your host for Let's Talk. Recently, I spoke with an amazing gentleman who has worked hard and has attained the highest level of hockey certification as a hockey coach. You may ask, why is this a big deal? I say this because not very often do you find an African American on the ice in a professional coaching capacity. Despite the stereotypical depictions, yes, there are numerous African Americans who play hockey worldwide in non-professional and professional leagues. With that being said, you're going to marvel at the achievements of Howard Smith. He is today's unsung hero and a perfectionist who gives back to the children of numerous communities. Howard coaches young boys and girls in the sport of hockey. And no, they don't just skate around the ice with hockey sticks and a puck. These young people are part of a league and are taught the true fundamentals of hockey. They're put through repetitive drills until mastered and graduate to the various levels of hockey performance. Howard also coaches disabled youth with those same fundamentals, but tailored to their abilities to maneuver on the ice and with the help of push carts, which enables them to hold a piece of equipment similar to a walker, only pushed over the ice for balance and support. I was truly astonished after watching these amazing special needs hockey enthusiasts who exhibited a sense of fearlessness as they glide across the ice with their blue carts. But enough from me. Allow me to introduce Coach Howard Smith and how he and some of his Olympic medalist colleagues lovingly coaches these children to greatness on many levels. Thank you so much for being here today, taking time out of your busy schedule to be on Let's Talk with Diane.
Very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, hockey, an amazing sport. How did you get into it?
I got into hockey actually in 1972, and the backstory on that is I was watching a game on television between Canada and the Soviet Union, and there was so much talk about that game and how the Russian players were so conditioned and everything, but it was Canada's sport. At that time, I was 11, and I had a very good understanding of politics at the time, so I got to see the final game of that special series. It was an 8-game series, and I got to see Game 8, in which Canada won. But it was something about that game that just said, I want to learn how to play this sport. So I learned how to roller skate. I grabbed my sister's old skates and just going up and down, the neighborhood skating, in the Hill District. And around Christmas time, we were getting ready to move from the Hill District to East Liberty. Christmas Day, I got one of those tabletop hockey sets, and then under the tree, I got a pair of skates, a stick, and a pair of gloves, and that began my transition from playing basketball and other sports into ice hockey.
That's amazing that you would have such an interest in a sport that isn't typically, I say, done by African American men.
Right.
Typically you have basketball and baseball and sports such as that, football, but you don't often have someone who that's African American that plays hockey. Now I know today there are African Americans who are playing professional hockey now.
Yes.
But I want to go back a little bit so our viewers can get a flavor of where you came from. So, take me back to San Diego.
I got to San Diego in 1979, and in fact, right after I graduated high school, Westinghouse High, class of 79.
Go Bulldogs!
There you go, Westinghouse forever. In my senior year, I enlisted in the United States Navy, the delayed entry program.
Thank you for your service.
It was an honor to have served. And it was just something that I wanted to do. College was there, but I always had a love for travel, a love for learning different cultures and just learning about different things. So over the summer of '78, I spoke to a Navy recruiter, and long story short, I enlisted in September of 78, my senior year, but I couldn't go in until June, July of 79 after I graduated. So after I graduated Westinghouse, I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois. And while I was there, I learned that my next command after boot camp would be Radioman Communications A School in San Diego, California. So after boot camp, I come home for about 2 weeks, and it's like, bye, Mom, I'm going to Southern California. And from there, I was there for 6 months in San Diego at my training school.
And fell in love with it.
I fell in love with San Diego, and after my training school was over, I had orders to go to an air facility in Tokyo, Japan. So I get to Japan, I'm 18 years old, and I was going to be there for 2 years. And when it was time for me to leave Japan after 2 years, I cried because I wanted to stay. I learned the language, the culture, and everything. And they sent me back to San Diego to a ship, the USS Bainbridge. Her home port was San Diego. So from 1982 to 1986, I went from the Bainbridge to an amphibious squadron home ported in San Diego. So basically my base of operations was Southern California. Yeah.
Okay. So Southern California. Then you segued from Southern California. Why, I have no idea. But you segued from Southern California to your home here in Pittsburgh. So tell our viewers a little bit of how that transition came about.
Well, after many years in San Diego and deployments and different assignments, including assignments overseas, in 1998, I was in San Diego and I was attached to the USS Coronado. We were the flagship for Commander 3rd Fleet. And it was time for me to rotate, to shore. I was getting ready to re-enlist for 3 more years so that I can go, complete 20 plus years in the military. Well, at the time, there was a big push for recruiters, to promote the Navy and get people into the military. My commanding officer of the ship thought that I would be a very good candidate to be a recruiter. So he suggested that I put in my package and submit it to Washington, D.C. to be a recruiter. Well, 2 months after doing that, we got the reply back and it said, congratulations, you're going to be a Navy recruiter. We're going to send you to recruiting school for 9 weeks in Pensacola, Florida. You're going to learn the ins and outs of recruiting and sales. Because recruiting is basically like, it's sales. It was almost like a 9-week business school. So after I finished in Florida, in Pensacola, my assignment was Navy Recruiting District, Pittsburgh. And when I get to Pittsburgh, they saw that I had an interest in going to Allentown, Pennsylvania, Lehigh County. I had a duty station there because I had friends there. So in May of 99, me and the family, we pack up everything and we get to Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes northeast of Philadelphia. And that began a year in the Lehigh Valley recruiting people for the Navy. And it was challenging, but it was different because I learned very quickly that Eastern Pennsylvania is not the same as Western Pennsylvania. The way people think, the way things are done. And I also learned real quick, don't have anything on your car that identifies you from Pittsburgh, especially if you're going to Philadelphia. But that's how I got to Pittsburgh. And my final tour of duty was Navy Recruiting District, Pittsburgh. And in 2000, I got orders to come back to Pittsburgh in the Federal Building to finish out my career in the Navy.
Okay, so our Moorhead Federal Building, downtown Pittsburgh. Okay, all right. Wow, this is amazing. So, now we know a little bit of history about you. You've been in the service. You've transitioned from the West back home to the East. Tell our viewers a little bit about how you got involved in hockey. How did this come about? I know you told me that you played at home and that you had skates under the tree, but take us through that. I mean, what you told me before was fascinating. Take me through that whole...
Over the years, when I lived in San Diego, I got to play in adult leagues, just kind of recreational hockey leagues just to have fun or whatever. And then in the mid-90s, I got into coaching. And it was in Southern California at that time, hockey was not that big because, of course, it's Southern California. So in 1999, when I got back to Pennsylvania, I wanted to really get involved more into the coaching aspect of it So when I got into Pittsburgh in 2000, I was at work one day and I was already involved with coaching with a local amateur program, here at the airport ice arena. And one day I'm at work and I said, I want to help out with the Pittsburgh Penguins deck hockey program. It was called Street Pals at the time. So I look on their website and I see Street Pals, and then I see this other program called Hockey in the Hood, and I'm like, what is this? So I did some more research on it. I called the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they put me in touch with a gentleman named Mark Shuttleworth. He said, this is a new program sponsored by the National Hockey League's Diversity Task Force. We are one of several programs throughout the United States and Canada that are going to teach kids in the inner city, socially and economically disadvantaged boys and girls to learn how to play hockey. All the equipment, the ice time, and everything will be provided. I said, okay, who do I reach out to for more? He said, I need you to reach out to a gentleman named Clifford Benson. At that time, he was a managing partner at Deloitte Touche right here in Pittsburgh. So I called Mr. Benson, and after several attempts to reach him, we set up a meeting for he and I to talk. And the day we met, it was an inspection day at the office, and I'm in my military uniform and all that. When he came down to the lobby and I went to meet him, he kind of looked up into the heavens and said, thank you, God, he's the one. So, excuse me.
That uniform does it every time,
Yes,
doesn't it?
Exactly. So we introduced ourselves, and I told him who I was and my background in hockey, and he told me about the program, Hockey in the Hood. And this is what we're going to do. These are the dates that we're going to do the program, and everything. And he asked me if I was interested. I said, sure, why not? And at that time I thought, I'll do this for a couple of weeks, and then this program might just fizzle because, the name, whatever, maybe kids aren't interested. Well, we started in December of 2000, December 4, for that matter, of 2000. We started with 25 kids from Covenant Church, Wilkinsburg. And the first time that they came out, we had helmets, gloves, sticks. It was very rudimentary. And these kids couldn't skate. And it was my job, responsibility, to teach these young boys and girls how to play hockey. And at first I thought, what the hell did I get myself into? But after the first session, I said, I'm going to turn these young boys and girls into hockey players. So I started recruiting help out there, coaches,
and I'm sure that this was something that they had never dreamed of doing.
I would ask the kids, have you ever been out here on the ice before? We've never been out of our element, coach. And I said, well, welcome to a new world. I'm going to show you there's something different out here. And for 6 months, the first 6 months of the program, it just grew. And then year after year, more volunteers, more local kids from the hockey, from hockey high schools. Coach Smith, I heard about your program. The Post-Gazette, the Tribune Review, local media just came on board with this. And the Pittsburgh Penguins were nothing more than just stellar getting this program off the ground. And after the first year, we thought, okay, maybe we'll do this one more year. So we did it again, and then year after year. And 2 years to the date that we had those 25 kids out there, we put on an exhibition scrimmage in between a Penguins game at the Civic Arena.
Nice.
And in front of 18,000 fans, you heard the public address announcer, and now please welcome Hockey in the Hood. And you can hear people kind of chuckling like, what is this? We had our jerseys. We looked just like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And these kids were out there skating like they had been skating all their lives. And we played and we had fun. And after one kid scored a goal, I'm thinking we're finished. And I'm looking over toward the runway, and the guys like, keep going. So I told the players, go out and play. So one kid checks another kid into the boards, and he looked at me and I said, put on a show. And they gave us 8 minutes out there.
Wow.
And you'd have thought it was the Stanley Cup playoffs the way they were skating. And then after that, the response was just overwhelming, to where we had so many kids and parents. Coach Smith, how can I get my kid involved? And myself and Cliff Benson became a two-man show for this entire operation. And I just really started recruiting more volunteers to help me out.
And so these are parents too? A lot of parents?
Coaches, everybody that jumped on board and said, this program has really taken off.
Now, the program was diverse?
Yes. We had kids from everywhere.
Okay.
When they heard about it, We had kids as far west as West Virginia.
So no longer depressed neighborhoods. It was kids from everywhere.
It was kids from everywhere, but at the same time, we had a lot of kids from Duquesne, Stowe Rocks, that said, we want to learn how to play. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Invite them all in.
We invited, at one time, we had well over 150 kids registered. And we would break up the program into various sessions, the Learn to Skate program. The kids that had more experience, we put them out there, and it was just, it exploded.
Did you go by age?
We went by age to we basically said, look, the youngest kid I ever had on the ice was 2.
Really? Wow.
2 years old.
And I have seen the little ones, parents putting the little ones out there on skates as soon as they can walk.
Exactly.
You know?
And I said, if you can get out there and skate, I'm going to give you a stick. That stick is going to be your third arm or your third leg, and we're going to teach you how to play hockey. And the instructors, the coaching staff that I brought on board were professionals. You know, by that, I wanted them to have an intrinsic knowledge of hockey.
Yes.
You know, we didn't want the program to be, oh, let's just throw pucks out there and
let them skate around. Yeah.
No, we're going to teach them to where we put together teams. We had enough kids to where we built teams, and we would go to different cities, Detroit, Washington, D.C. And compete.
So did those other cities have hockey in the hood type?
Yes.
So is that how it took off and other cities made?
Exactly. In fact, the very first program, which is the benchmark of all these programs, is the Fort DuPont program in Southeast Washington, D.C. They are the oldest minority hockey program in the United States. Neil Henderson has been a director since day one in the mid-'70s, and kids throughout Washington, D.C. are learning how to play. Detroit, Michigan, Philadelphia, Minnesota, you name it, there are programs like this. As of today, there are 45 throughout the United States and Canada
that's interesting.
doing this.
That is really interesting. Now, you see here today, we're at the Robert Morris Sports Complex, and we have a team out on the ice playing. Tell us a little bit about this team, and then we're going to get into what you do.
Thank you. The team that's out there right now is a varsity hockey team. They are the team from Sewickley Academy. And the gentleman, the head coach that's out there on the ice right now, that's Mr. Chris Chisano. He and I go back about 14 years because he and I were coaches together with Carrick High School's varsity hockey program. And the other assistant coaches out there, in fact, one of them, Mr. Mike Hurley, he learned how to play hockey through the Hockey in the Hood program, and now he's a USA Hockey certified coach.
Wow, that is amazing.
The gentleman right there in the white helmet.
Okay.
He started out with me years ago.
So you guys are good friends.
Fantastic friends.
Wow, that is really interesting. So let's circle back around to you. I'd like for you to tell our guests, our viewers, I should say, tell us about what you do with these kids in hockey and the programs that you have.
Besides helping out occasionally with the Pittsburgh Ice program, the way that name came about was in 2009. We had a meeting with the Penguins and a few others, and they said, after all these years, we're going to change the name. And I said, whatever, what's in the name? I'm doing my thing out there. So we called it Pittsburgh Ice. Inclusion creates equality. And I was with the program for 13 years. And after a while, your plate gets so full to where it becomes a platter, and it's time to turn it over to someone else, but keep the same premise of what's happening. So that's what's still going on with the program. I'm still a part of them and in emeritus status. If I hear kids want to learning how to play, you know, I direct them to Pittsburgh Ice. There's one program that I've been affiliated now for the last 5 years, and that's the Steel City Icebergs of USA Hockey's Disabled Hockey, and we're a part of the American Special Needs Hockey Association.
Okay.
So boys and girls with various special needs, whether they have ADHD, Asperger's, Down syndrome, boys and girls and adults, this program is for them. And myself and the coaching staff, we're out there on the ice, and we're just showing them how to play hockey, or maybe showing them how to hold the stick correctly, or just get on the ice and just have fun.
And these children with the special needs, what is their reaction to you helping them learn this sport?
It is a labor of love. to where a lot of these kids have never skated before, and we give them the blue walkers and everything. And after that, Coach Howard, show me this, show me that. And myself and the coaching staff, it's a labor of love. Yeah.
That's a ministry.
It's a lot of, it's time consuming. It's a lot, you have to have, with a program like this, you have to have a lot of patience.
And passion.
And passion, because I tell my young student coaches and the other coaches that help me out, you're here to help them. You know, if a kid starts to get a little fidgety or fussy, let's handle it. You know, if they need to come off the ice, we'll get them off the ice, but we're here for them. Even if they just do one little lap around and they want to get off the ice, you've done your job.
Right. You've given them some hope.
Exactly.
And a little experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is awesome. So when you teach these children, how do the parents react?
The buy-in from the parents is just unique. They are all on board with this program because they know that their children out there are getting top-notch quality instruction. And it's one thing that really cements and bonds the hockey family together. I can't speak for the other sports, football, basketball, and how the parents are there, but one thing about hockey parents, they're very tight-knit. It is a very small community. One person knows another who knows another, and it's just very tight-knit. So when one hockey family is in need of help or something, we don't hesitate. We pitch in. We'll get that child on the ice, whatever it takes. But we don't have money for equipment, this or that. We didn't ask you for money. What sizes of skates? We got it. Let's go. You know.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. So you've had an illustrious career in the military. You've also had an illustrious career in teaching people how to play hockey with your vast knowledge of hockey. You have any hockey heroes?
Yes. I go back to 1994. The San Diego Union Tribune did a story on Willie O'Ree. And the backstory on Mr. O'Ree is that he is the Jackie Robinson of our sport. He broke the color barrier in January of 1958 to become the first black player to play in the National Hockey League. Willie is from Fredericton, New Brunswick in the Canadian Maritimes, and he learned to play, up there. And in 58, he was called up by the Quebec Aces, which was the farm team of the Boston Bruins. He was called up to play. And on that particular night, Willie got to play against the Montreal Canadiens, who by that time they were the Pittsburgh Steelers of hockey.
Okay.
And to this day, they're still considered like that. Well, Willie got called up, but unbeknownst to a lot of people, including the Bruins, Willie had a secret. Right before he was called up to play, he got hit in the eye with a puck. And back then, you didn't have the helmets and everything like what we have today.
Yeah.
He took a puck to the right eye, and he was told after they examined him and did surgery or whatever, he was told that he would never play hockey again because he lost 97% vision in his eye.
Oh, geez.
Well, Willie was not going to take that. He was not going to take no for an answer.
Right.
So back then, they didn't do the physicals like we do today, that sort of thing. Only a few people knew of his secret. So Willie got to play, but he hit it by playing a certain position where he would turn his head this way or that way.
So he was able to see. Yes.
Exactly. And Willie went on to play an illustrious 22-year career, not only in the National Hockey League, but also in the Western Hockey League in Los Angeles and in San Diego.
With only one eye.
Basically, with one eye.
Amazing.
And over the years, he became a pioneer in the sport. And a lot of people were really starting to learn about Willie and what he's done for hockey. So in 1994, the National Hockey League created the National Hockey League Diversity Task Force to get kids in the inner city to learn how to play. Willie has become, and to this day, is still the national ambassador for the National Hockey League Diversity Task Force, which is now called Hockey Sticks Together.
This story is amazing. And you are the ambassador for Pittsburgh.
I try.
To bring all of this together.
Well, the most ironic thing with Willie and everything that he's accomplished all his life through hockey, this coming November, Willie will be inducted into the National Hockey League's Hall of Fame in the Builders category. It's been a long time coming, and when they announced his name, my phone was ringing off the hook because, Howard, you've known Willie for years. I first met Willie here in Pittsburgh in 2004 at an event, and then we hosted him again in Pittsburgh for several other hockey in the hood events in 2007. And in subsequent years, 2006, 7, 8, 9, we would go to different tournaments in Michigan and D.C. Willie would be there for these events. So we kept in touch all these years. And in 2009, right after the Penguins won the Stanley Cup, they were invited to the White House. And on Labor Day weekend, I got a call from the Penguins, Coach Howard, you need to find 10 kids immediately. You're going to the White House. I'm like, wow, thanks for telling me this on Labor Day weekend. So I'm calling parents, the ones that I could find.
Yeah.
And Willie was there. And just to be in the White House with President Obama in 2009,
amazing.
Kind of like is the pinnacle of how far have I come in hockey as an African American doing this in Pittsburgh. Because I was asked before, how many other African American men in Pittsburgh are doing what I do?
Exactly.
Only me. Only one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you set the bar.
When I come into this rink or other rinks and people see me and they're, well, that's Howard Smith. You know, case in point, I am the head coach for Bishop Canevin's varsity team.
Okay.
And I took the position this past year. They needed a coach. My name got floated out there. Next thing you know, they're calling me, asking, you know, can we interview you for a possible head coaching job? Long story short, after a 2.5-hour interview, they got into my background with hockey and everything. They said, this is the one. He is the one that's going to coach us. And when I go to the different rinks with my team, sometimes I sense it like, I'm the only African American here. But I've learned over the years, whatever.
Yeah, and
you know, more than the puck is black.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that, and it's like, okay,
Yes.
I'm here to do a job. I'm here to put on a pair of skates. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my thing. And when it's over, I'm going to go home, get on my hands and knees and thank God and say, please let me do another day.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how I relate to it. But Willie is my hero for what he's done.
Willie's still living?
Yes, he is. Okay. And as I was saying, next month he will be inducted into the National Hockey League Hall of Fame in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is 80. In fact, next week, October 15th for that matter, Willie will turn 83.
Wow.
Still doing his thing.
Now, what part are you playing in that? Have they called you? Have they asked you to play a part in that? I can't imagine them not asking you to play a part in this.
There are so many people that are going to play a part in this, but Willie knows my schedule is completely busy. His schedule is completely busy, but he and I communicate a lot. And he knows that I'm there in spirit along with a lot of the other program directors nationwide that work with Willie to do what we do for all these kids. So I'm just totally honored that he's doing what he's doing and finally getting the recognition. So well deserved.
I am totally floored by you, period. I mean, what you have just told me and told our viewers, it is amazing. And I have to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I asked Carl, I said, is he black or is he white? And the reason I asked is because in my ignorance, I did not know that an African-American hockey coach existed. I mean, I've seen...
There are more African-American youth hockey coaches in Philadelphia, Michigan, Detroit, Washington, D.C., because more kids are exposed to it there than here in Pittsburgh. Okay. And one of the issues with kids learning how to play hockey in Pittsburgh, a kid from Homewood or the Hill District, it's a real challenge to get here or to some of the other rinks, because in those aforementioned cities, they have areas where kids can get on a bus and they're at a rink.
Yes.
The program in Philadelphia, the Ed Snyder Youth Hockey Association Foundation program, is huge. Not only is it about hockey, it's about education, but they have the means to get kids from point A to point B to a lot of these places. Here in Pittsburgh, it's difficult.
It's difficult.
You know, through no fault of any organization.
Yes.
It's just there are no rinks per se in Pittsburgh. This facility here, great facility. This is not Pittsburgh. This is Neville Island.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully, someone listening.
I really wish that they would have kept the Civic Arena. And my vision was keep the Civic Arena, but take out the upper deck seats. There's so much room up there that could have been used for retail. A grocery store could have been put in there, and you still have the bottom portion rink for recreational skating, that sort of thing. That's what they did to the rinks, the arenas in Toronto, Ontario, the old Maple Leaf Gardens. They turned that into a metroplex for entertainment, and you could still skate on it. The old Montreal Forum in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, they did the same thing with that. And I really wish they could have done that with the Civic Arena, but, you know, it is what it is.
History now.
Exactly.
History now. Wow, this is just, I am just awestricken by you and by your story. You truly are an unsung hero. Who knew? I didn't. You know, Carl told me about you, and I have a little bit of history here on you. But when you delved into it and start talking about all the things that you've done and how you've helped these children realize that they too can play hockey, even the children who are disabled, that have the disabilities. I just think that is wonderful.
It's just something that I just love to do.
I can tell.
With my day job and my family, and I don't really have much of a social life because this is it. You know, this is what I do. The people that I interact with, the coaching staff here and all the other rinks, this is what I love. This is my passion.
You love it. It's your passion, and you do it very well. It's a blessing. It's a ministry of a sort.
Yes, it is.
It's a ministry because you pour out your heart. You put your heart on that ice. I've
had my critics out there tell me, you're not getting paid for this. You're wasting your time doing all this. You know, why is a brother doing this? Brothers don't play hockey. And I've actually had a few people call me a sellout because I play a white man's sport. Okay. Call me whatever, but this is something that I love to do. And until the good Lord says, Howard, you can no longer skate or whatever, this is what you are going to do. You're going to interact with a bunch of kids that, for whatever reason, they're going to get out there and learn how to play. You are going to teach them. And I believe that.
I applaud you.
Thank you.
For everything you've done, all your efforts working with these children. And today, our youth need to have mentors like you in their lives.
I try to go in the off season to different recreation centers, and I tell people what I do. And one of the things that I enjoy doing is being an instructor with USA Hockey's coaching education program. As a level 5 instructor, we go out and we
Explain that, the levels.
Okay. Starting out in coaching, you become a level 1, you go through the clinics and you go through all the certification processes, the background checks, the clearances and all that. And then you're learning at the grassroots level coaching. Again, I can't speak for the other sports, but our sport, USA Hockey, requires you to have a knowledge before you get out there and do what you do. From level 1, which takes a year, you go to level 2. From level 2 to level 3. Level 3, you're good for that for 3 years. After that, you can recertify at a level 3, which all the training increases over time. You go from level 3 to level 4. Level 4 is like having a bachelor's in coaching.
Intense.
It's intense. You're learning systems, you're learning theory, you're learning the technical aspect of hockey. And then from level 4, you go to level 5, where it's the pinnacle of coaching. And just recently, I attended the level 5 symposium up in Lake Placid, New York. It was 4 days of some of the most intense training ever. You have some of the greatest hockey minds in the United States, coaches from college, National Hockey League coaches, and for 4 days, you are really learning the more administrative, the technical side, everything to being a head coach somewhere, whether it's the high school varsity level, whether it's the junior level, junior A, junior B, or whether you're going to maybe someday be an assistant somewhere with a professional team. And that's how we do it.
And you are level 5.
Yes, I am. It also requires you to have a thesis. I mean,
so it's your doctorate.
Basically,
it's your doctorate.
You know, in coaching hockey.
Yes.
The young lady that's right out there on the ice right now, Her name is Brianne McLaughlin. She is a world champion. She played for Teams USA's women's national team for several years. An Olympic gold medalist, an Olympic silver medalist. She played 4 years here at Robert Morris University. Whenever I have questions on certain aspects of hockey, I go to people like her, because these are folks that I want to further my knowledge even more. Coach to coach, as I always say.
Yeah.
I never stop thriving for more information to learn this game and to make myself a better coach.
And because you're level 5, that does not mean you know it all.
You never stop learning.
You learn something new every day.
When I go to practices and I see coaches teaching, I'll steal drills. I will learn it. Yeah.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. What else do you want our viewers to know? Because I know I've exhausted you thus far.
I want our viewers coming away with the fact that, yeah, there's baseball, basketball, football out there. There's another sport called hockey that I would love to have more kids, more African-American boys and girls learning this sport. Getting out there to where when they see hockey on television, they understand what's happening, what the different play situations are and that sort of thing, so that, who knows, maybe one day they're playing hockey at a college or a university somewhere.
Or they may be hoisting that Stanley Cup.
Exactly, like Trevor Daley.
Yes.
When he was with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Devontae Smith-Pelly with the Washington Capitals. And a lot of people have asked, when they see these players on TV, oh, he's a black player, he's African-American. Well, a lot of your players of color, there are a few African-Americans, but the majority are from Canada.
Right.
And I was asked one time, are they African-Canadian up there? I said, up there in Canada, you're just a Canadian.
Yeah.
I go to Canada a lot, and it's just Canada. It's just Canadians up there.
Why do we all have to be different?
Exactly.
Why can't we just be, Canadian or Americans?
Speaking of Canadians, the young lady's voice that you hear in the red.
In the red over there?
Yes. Her name is Marianne Watkins. She is the power skating director here at this facility. She and I have known each other for 14 years. And when we moved our program from the airport out to here, we've developed a friendship to this day that is just golden. She is originally from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. And as she says to me in a lot of emails and correspondence of what we do on the ice, she has considered me half Canadian.
Oh. You can be that. You can be that. It works. It works. It works. The hockey side of you. It works. It works. Howard, thank you for a fantastic interview.
Thank you for having me. It's my
pleasure. Now it's time for you to get on the ice and drop that puck.
Time to put on the boots and let's skate.
Let's skate.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The team that we're facing out here tonight is the Steel City Selected U16. This is kind of like a little special scrimmage that we wanted to get the players some chance to at least get some game action once in a while. We practice a lot, but Roger's parents wanted to have us have some more games, and the kids like it. Gives them a chance to go up against competition and just have some fun.
there you have it. Howard is a true rock star to these young people and epitomizes the title of an unsung hero. He has a passion which he gladly and willfully passes on to our next generation of aspiring hockey athletes. We are grateful and thankful to the great mentors who help to mold our children, teach them to follow their dreams, and that work and perseverance does pay off. Howard, in his demeanor and in his ministry of coaching, reaches these children on so many levels. Now, how can you involve your youngsters? The information will be provided in the ending credits. And a special thanks to Robert Morris University for their use of the Island Sports Center. Thanks for watching. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Let's Talk with Diane Richard, where you will find more amazing interviews of unsung heroes.